Hi everyone. So this is probably gonna be awkward. I'm not used to talking in cameras all that often, especially sharing my story. I haven't done that in a very long time, so bear with me. And yeah, so throughout the years, I like to share my story about how I was sexually assaulted, and I usually just write it in a Facebook post, but this year I want to do something different. I guess hoping that it will reach more people and that people will be able to, hear my emotions and, I don't know, maybe get more out of it. So, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I wanted to get this out earlier in the month, but that just didn't happen. So, we're going to try to do it right now and hope it works. So, I am 28 now. When I was 14, it was the summer going into my freshman year, I went to the marketplace with one of my girlfriends. Now, let me add, this will be geared more towards teenagers because that's how old I was when it happened. So it does happen to adults as well, but that's just my story. So I went to the marketplace, which, for those of you who are not from Bakersfield, the marketplace is a shopping center. It has a movie theater, Starbucks, ice cream shop, a bunch of little boutiques, and it just, ever since it opened, has been a place that teenagers hang out. Junior high and high school kids hang out. So I went there with my girlfriend. We were going to see a movie, and while we were waiting for our movie to start, we were outside. And these guys came up to us. It was 4 guys. They were they were dressed very nicely. They told us what school they went to. They told us their first and last name. Very polite. And they invited us to a party. Now, we were getting ready to go into freshman year. We were so cool, obviously. And we were excited. It was our first, invitation from older people, and so we went. These guys told us that because we did not tell her aunt, who was supposed to be picking us up, we kind of were sneaking off. So they told us, we will have you back in 2 hours. And that's when her aunt was supposed to come. You guys will be able to come back. We will drop you off. So we were like, oh, okay, that sounds reasonable. Let's go. So we went. Now, once I tell the story, I'll get to clearly why that was a huge mistake. We went. I was deathly afraid of my mom finding out, and especially finding out that I was drinking, so I didn't drink because my mom scares me sometimes. So I had a Dr. Pepper. My friend started drinking, and when we walked in, you could tell it was set up for a party. They had a fog machine, all these party lights, tons of alcohol. But we were the only girls at this point. So that should have been my first red flag, or second or third, but it wasn't. So one of the guys hands me a Dr. Pepper, and the night proceeds. I remember next being in the backyard and falling down. Falling down drunk. I had a hard time focusing, a hard time walking. I didn't have any alcohol at this point. I had a Dr. Pepper that was opened and given to me. The next thing I remember is I haven't shared this in a long time, so the next thing that I remember was being held down. I was in a bedroom. I still remember the layout of the room. I remember the type of bed it was. I remember the pictures on the walls. And I had one guy inside of me having sex with me, and my arms were pinned to the side, and so were my legs. and I had one guy on each of my arms and each of my legs holding me down. And then there were guys standing around the room. I don't remember how many, I don't remember who, but I remember people watching. I remember calling for help, and then I blacked out again. I don't remember anything after that until someone was saving us. One of the guys at the party, he was the outcast of the group. He was a little nerdy, and you could tell. Apparently he called a friend. He didn't like what was happening, but wasn't enough to stop it. He called a friend. All I know is her name's Ashley. And she came with her girlfriend and their boyfriends, and they saved us. They got into my cell phone and called my mom. And they got us where we needed to be, and that went on. I remember being in the car with them because they drove me to my mom because they wouldn't tell her where the location was. I remember being in the car with them, and they were talking about celebrities. And out of nowhere, mind you, I'm still under whatever they gave me. So out of nowhere, I remember sitting up and going, well, you want to know what's worse? I think I just lost my virginity to a guy I didn't know. And then I blacked out again. What happened after was 12 hours at a hospital, 2 different hospitals, because where I lived did not have it publicized as to where does rape kits. So 12 hours at the hospital, where they had to examine me, and that was humiliating to be there with my mom and having to do all of this. It's a very detailed exam. They found multiple cuts, scrapes all over my body. A very, what's the word? A very, I guess, large or intense, I don't know what the right word is, cut inside of me. I was covered in bruises. The next day, I woke up to bruises of hand marks on my wrist, handprints on my wrist. Those ones probably messed with me emotionally the most, because they were a reminder of what happened. Hold on. So, I said I'm gearing this towards kids, towards high school and teenage kids, because I have a niece now who is getting ready to go into freshman year, and she hangs out at the marketplace. I was not a bad kid. I was a pretty good kid. Like I said, my mom was pretty strict, so I never wanted to disappoint her. I didn't make very many mistakes, but then I did. I made one. And it has clearly affected my entire life up until now, where it's still even hard to talk about. I do it, but sometimes it's hard. But I want to gear this towards kids because I want you to know that one time, one little mistake can affect your entire life. I remember when they were, when the people were saving me, I was a little chunkier. I was always the chunky girl. I remember them having a hard time picking me up. And one of the guys the next day, they kept saying how they fucked the shit out of the big girl. That was their words. That's what they told the cops. That is what stuck in my head. So that led to an eating disorder later down the road. That eating disorder led me to doing drugs. And I became a crystal meth addict for 2 years. That one night turned me into a drug addict. It affected me emotionally so much that at 18, 4 years later, I still didn't know how to deal with it. And mind you, I did My mom works in mental health, so she did the best she could for me. But I was a kid. I didn't know how to process all this. And I've been given a voice, and I'm very aware of that. I have it's one of my strengths is that I am able to speak for others who can't, even if it is a little shaky sometimes. So I was very public about it, and that did make things harder for me later, because I received a lot of criticism. I was told by numerous people that I asked for it because I went, which, yeah, it wasn't smart for me to go, but I did not ask to be raped by multiple men. I didn't ask for it. I didn't deserve it. I was told that it was my fault because I wore a skirt. I was told that it's my fault because I had big boobs. I heard so many reasons as to why it was my fault and never theirs. So now I worry for my niece. She's one of the best kids I've ever met, but I would hate for her to make the one mistake I did that affects her entire life. I'm a mom. I have 2 little girls. And so now, as a mom, I mean, I've been past this for a very long time, but now I have to go through the fear and live through it all as a parent, where I have to worry about my kids. So, hold on. When I left with those guys, I fully thought I was coming back. I thought that in 2 hours, they were going to bring me back because they told me they would, and they were very polite. But then I didn't think. I knew they'd be drinking. And at that time, I was too young to fully process it all and realize that they're going to be drinking. They can't drive me back in 2 hours. I thought everything would be fine. I didn't think I would be raped. Nobody ever does. No one ever thinks bad things are going to happen to them. You don't want to. So, to the kids going into junior high, going into high school, your parents aren't trying to be mean, okay? They want to protect you because you can make one stupid decision that you think is not a big deal that can affect your entire life. Your entire life. Okay, so clearly I'm a rookie at making videos because my sister called and it stopped my video. So I'm starting over. I'm starting from where I left off. So I just want you kids to know that it happens and to be safe. And if you're uncomfortable, if you made a decision, if you went to that party, got there and realized something's not right, call your parents. Call someone. Get out of there. Get out of there before it's too late. Please. If you have been sexually assaulted or raped or anything, get help. If you haven't told anyone yet, tell someone. What I've learned, I've met a lot of people through this that have been in the same position who didn't talk about it with anyone. And it's really heavy. It's a heavy thing to carry. So if that's you, please, I beg you, tell someone. It's not your fault. I don't care if you were drunk. I don't care if you had big boobs. I don't care if you wore a jean skirt. It's not your fault. You didn't deserve it. You get help that you need. If you are being sexually assaulted and you need to tell someone and people won't take you seriously, tell a teacher, tell a doctor, tell someone who is mandated to report it. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to share. Thank you for listening to my story. Sorry I cried. It's been a while. Like I said, I always share my story on Facebook in a post. I haven't had to physically express it in a very long time. So that's a little rough. But I think that's kind of all I wanted to say, is that just get help. I know the Alliance Against Family Violence and Sexual Assault, it's in Bakersfield. I'm sure they have them everywhere, though. I'm sure every city has something like that. For those who are in Bakersfield, though, the Alliance they helped me a ridiculous amount. They got me hooked up with therapists. They helped my mom, because it was something that affected my entire family. I mean, my sisters and my mom, my dad, they all had to go through this with me. So get with them. If you need direction on where to go, they can help you. I know right now, like I said, I wanted to do this earlier in the month, but they do have a bunch of events this month. I don't know how much more they have left, but they're a great organization to get you to the next step and getting you the help you need. So I worked with them a lot when I was younger, and I was a speaker for them a few times. So I fully believe that they can help if you need it, if you want it. So I hope that this helps someone, and thank you for watching.